When you get a new job, or even volunteer for that matter, you may have to undergo a criminal background check. It's designed to alert employers to potential causes for concern. But for some firefighters here in South Carolina, a lot could be missing from their background check. As Kamin tells us, there are now calls to fix this little-known loophole.
First responders in the Lowcountry and across the state are tasked with saving lives and serving the public. Firefighters charge headfirst into dangerous situations. When they arrive, you normally trust them.
When you call 911, you don't want to have any doubts that the folks entering your business, entering your homes, or again that are treating your child in the back room or a back of an ambulance, that you've got any concerns that they're not doing anything other than the best interest of improving the situation.
So how could this man, Felix Butler, serve as a firefighter in Berkeley County while wanted for felony rape? That's what Live 5 Investigates wanted to know. Law enforcement in Augusta, Georgia announced back in 2018 that they wanted to find Butler. But less than 2 years later, he surfaced in St. Stephen and submitted this application, saying he wanted to join the town's fire department. Criminal background checks are required for all new firefighters in South Carolina. So the State Law Enforcement Division, or SLED, ran this background check on Butler. But take a look. There's no mention of that rape charge across state lines. And it turns out there wasn't required to be. State
law right now only allows for that to be an in-state background check.
When we reached out to SLED about background checks, they referred us to the state's Firefighters Employment and Registration Act. It states a criminal background check must be conducted by a law enforcement agency. No one convicted of a felony, arson, or a drug offense can be a firefighter in South Carolina. Plus, the cost of that background check can't be more than $8. State fire officials say using SLED's $8 criminal background check is the standard protocol across the state.
Any hits from within South Carolina are relayed back to the fire chief and for him to make a decision on whether they hire or employ.
In an email, SLED adds, quote, in the absence of specific legislation authorizing a fingerprint-based federal background check, SLED cannot perform such. SLED conducts a name-based, in-state background check for firefighters. That means the background check many fire departments in the state use only covers crimes committed in South Carolina. But some larger municipalities have decided to take their background checks a step farther. Goose Creek conducts a nationwide criminal background check for their firefighters, just as they do for all city employees.
We do receive a lot of out-of-state candidates who are moving to the Lowcountry. They are walking in your homes, they are interacting with you, saving lives, and we want to make sure that we are sending the appropriate person to carry out that task.
Deputy Chief Janine Schmidt from the Pine Ridge Fire Department in Berkeley County says while they would like to use a nationwide criminal background check, they stick to the in-state one for their firefighters because of logistics and cost.
Everything is streamlined through the Fire Academy, and so that's generally what we use. It is definitely better on the budget to be able to have them do that for us. Like I said, it streamlines the process by getting the information and then going straight to the registration. Most of our applicants are here local, so it's not a big concern.
Charlie King is the executive director of South Carolina's State Firefighters Association. He adds that not only are nationwide background checks complicated and expensive, many firefighters are volunteers. So requiring applicants to get fingerprinted and asking them to pay for the federal background check or using a fire department's already tight budget just isn't possible.
It really becomes a logistics challenge because there are many, many more firefighters than there are EMS and law enforcement. There are more than 18,000 firefighters in South Carolina, and many of those are volunteers.
King says firefighters are the only first responders in the state not required to get a federal background check before being hired. But implementing a more extensive background check for all fire departments in South Carolina would require action from the state legislature.
For them to be able to carry that duty forward and improve it would take a legislative change, a financial investment, we hope, because we wouldn't want it to carry out of the pockets of our volunteers.
Still, King tells us finding the funding and a logistically plausible way to conduct nationwide criminal background checks for our state's firefighters would be worth it.
We know that the community expects, and we should be providing the absolute best individual that they can trust to go in and out of their homes and businesses, to render care to their loved ones when needed. And again, we feel like a nationwide background check would help us and employers ensure that.
For Live 5 Investigates, I'm Katie Kamin.
If you have a story you'd like for us to investigate, reach out to our Live 5 Investigates team at the phone number you see there on your screen, 843-402-5678.